Hey guys, Hyaena here. You guys wanted answers, and I obliged, so here we go. How did you meet your friends from the Ink Machine HQ? Well, that's... oh man, that takes me back. I think it was back in July, and it was all because of Gmod. I had posted some of my screenshots from a little game mode me and some friends called INKY's Hide and Seek, and it all had to do with Ink Bendy catching up to you. He would grab you, he'd like just kind of throw you, and TZ saw these screenshots, and he contacted me, and it's like, hey, would you like to join us to game? And normally I'm a shy person, and I was just like, well, hey, new people. And I said yes, and he invited me to his Discord server, where I met him and Narwhal and chat almost immediately. And I don't know, we just kind of clicked, and the whole thing just kind of hit off. And then they introduced me to Anthony later, and boy, those guys are something else. And then much later down the road, I can't remember when, I actually met Moon on Twitter. I got to talking to her, and it's like, hey, would you like to join us at some point? And she said yes. I pulled her into the HQ, and we got our group going. And I've known Vio for quite a while now. I think since maybe the end of April or beginning of May. And she eventually joined in with gaming with us, and now we got our whole crew. Why do you like hyenas so much? Well, for one thing, they're a very misunderstood animal, and it seems that the majority of people really don't like them due to their scavenging habits, which they actually hunt more than what they actually scavenge. You just don't normally see that because of documentaries and whatnot. They're really cute, and they make the cutest little noises. Like, you know, they have their giggles, they have their whoops, their grunts and growls. I just love everything about them, and they're just really fascinating animals. What got you so interested with Bendy and the Ink Machine? I think it's the art style that really drew me in. Because I watched Jacksepticeye play, along with Markiplier, and I'm looking at this game, it's like, boy, this looks really stylized. It takes place with like the old tunes, and I just really love that old style. I love the old cartoons. And along with the music and whatnot, it just really drew me in, no pun intended. And here we are today. Why did you pick the name INKY? Well, that's actually... I actually had an old name. I went by the name Wild Hyaena on Steam, and ever since Bendy came along, it's like, well, Wild Hyaena doesn't really fit me anymore. And I just kind of picked the name INKY because of all the ink in game. And it just kind of stuck. It's like, I really like the ring of this. I think I'm just gonna go by this name everywhere I go now, and now I'm just kind of Hyaena across all media platforms I'm part of. What is your favorite theory in regards to who or what the ink demon is? I would have to say it's the possible theory that Joey Drew is Ink Bendy. And considering he has the limp, and he's the main antagonist of the game, it just seems fairly possible that it could be him. However, I'm not ruling out the possibility it's not, if there's some sort of twist later down the road. What made you get into YouTube as a reactionist slash game player? I'm honestly not sure. I mean, it may have been inspired by Jack and Mark, but one day I just made my channel. It was originally called Hyaena Gaming, and I don't know, I just figured I'd record a few videos, which mostly started out with Primal Carnage. It's a dinosaur shooter game. And I just started uploading. It's like, hey, I'll just record a few, throw them up just for fun. And then Dead by Daylight came out, and I got into that with some friends. I got some really funny reactions for that for some people and friends. And yeah, it just kind of grew from there once Bendy came out. What would you do if you came across Inky in real life? Well, if we're talking about the game version, I would cry. I would probably die. Which do you like better, messing with Inky or sending him to level 14? Well, that kind of goes hand in hand, because you have to get him into the elevator first, and messing around with him to do that is just fun in general. And I also like to tease him, just to stick my head out, say peekaboo, and have him chase me, but normally I can get away, depending on how close Miracle Station is. Think you'll make it through Chapter 4 in one piece? No, I do not. I have no doubt that I am going to break down, probably in tears at some point. He has made me panic so much, especially the first time playing 3. My first time seeing him, he sent me into a panic attack after bolting down the hall, because this was back when 1.3.0 was out, the very first iteration of Chapter 3, and he was a rare sight throughout the entire studio. Like, you could just go tap dancing through the entire building and he just would not show his face. His spawn rate was just so low that there was a possibility that you could just go through the whole game and never even see him. If Bendy morphed through the wall directly in front of you and there were no miracle stations around, what would you do? This has actually happened before, and while it does send me into a panic for a split second, depending on where you are, you're actually really safe. Because he's done this to me at the top of the stairs, and instead of going into the station, I just book it down the balcony, I'll round the corner and just kind of watch him. And more than likely, he won't see me. This has also happened in the stairway, where I was coming up the stairs. He started coming out of the wall directly in front of me, and it didn't click right away as I was rounding the corner. And I panicked because he was coming out, and you could see him. Like, I even turned around to look at him. And he just kind of kept coming out, and I just walked up the stairs, waited for him to move on a little, and all was well. What are your feelings about whether or not we'll have to destroy Ink Bendy? Why you gotta go and ask me that? Oh man. If we do, I would legit be upset. I really would. As much as he scares me, as much as I'm terrified of him, as much as I've put him through and he's put me through, I would really hate it if we actually had to destroy him. Because, I mean, he's just so much fun. He's a great creature to come have after you, and I don't think I'd be able to take it. Do you think Sammy is coming back? Yes, I do. I mean, if he ends up not coming back, that's fine with me, but as it is, I do think he's coming back. We don't know what Ink Bendy did to him in his office. We heard the screams, we heard the noises, but we don't know what actually happened back there. Pre-update, Sammy would have an ink puddle leak out under the door, leading you to believe that maybe Ink Bendy really killed him. But at the end cutscene, all you see is a puddle of ink just smeared on the floor with his mask. But in the back corner, you can see a pair of shoes laying there, or standing there, and I don't know, it really struck me as odd once I saw that. It's like, so if he's gone, who is that? Because they almost look like Boris's shoes. But at the same time, we meet Boris at the end of Chapter 2. So, I don't know, I mean, right now, in Chapter 2, there's no ink puddle taken out. Like, there's no ink bleeding under the door. And then in Chapter 3, you can hear him saying, "We've all been waiting, but now he will set us free." And with the drop of the Chapter 4 teaser, there's a giant banner that says he will set us free. And that seems to have been Sammy's thing, so I think he's coming back. Where would you see yourself now if you never discovered Bendy, or if Bendy never existed? Ooh, that's actually really hard to say, because prior to Bendy, I was barely drawing for 3 years. Like, I just lost all motivation to do much of anything. I was sketching on and off, but there was nothing substantial to that, and I was just not really happy with anything I was drawing. I mean, I uploaded 1 or 2, but for like 3 years, I really wasn't doing much of anything. It was just a really sad state with my art inspiration. Then Bendy came along, and I don't think there's a day that doesn't go by where I don't at least doodle or anything. Like, there's just so much inspiration there. As for where I'd even be, I really don't know. I'm not even sure I would be drawing yet. It's just really hard to say. Do you take commissions on DeviantArt? I'm actually thinking of doing that. I don't yet, but I'm thinking up like a price sheet and stuff. But I will eventually let you guys know once I start on that.